Good morning, Rotarians. Thank you for joining us. This club meeting is called to order. Hey, shortly I'll be sharing my screen and leading us through another fun presentation to direct the conversation. Periodically, I'll bring the screen sharing down so we can see each other's beautiful and friendly faces and have more dialogue. Family and friends are always welcome to attend our club meetings, so don't hesitate to invite someone like maybe your dentist. Also, feel free to speak out as you would in an in-person meeting, or if you're not using your microphone, please make sure to put yourself on mute, or maybe I'll do it at the cost of a club fine. And without further ado, here we go, on to the program. Welcome everybody to the Fortuna Sunrise Rotary Club meeting for December 2nd, 2020, and that is volume 22 of my presidential year. We have an outstanding, amazing Rotary Club, and I am so thankful to be a part of it. At this time, I'll bring down the screen share and we'll introduce our guests this morning. We have Sam King, one of our guests. Hello, say hello to Sam, all the way from Hawaii.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us.
You bet. And we also have Kimo Stone here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Let's see. And is there any other guest, or is it all club members? I think it's just the usual bunch of amazing folks. Okay, let's keep this thing going. All right. So at this time, we typically be doing the flag salute, but since it's a virtual meeting and we don't want to see each other's Thanksgiving bellies, why not do a little bit of an American history lesson? Did you know that on this day, in the year 1969, the Boeing 747, often known as the Jumbo Jet, a long-haul, wide-body commercial airliner, receives its FAA airworthiness certificate, paving the way for its induction into commercial service in 1970. And our inspirational message of the day. At the end, it's not about what we have or even what you've accomplished. It's about who you've lifted up and who you've made better and about what you've given back. And for the four-way test this morning, we're going to call on Rotarian Herb Colby.
Is it my turn now?
It's your turn. Come on.
Okay. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Herb.
It was my pleasure. I'll drink to that.
Yeah, there you go. Have some coffee. Announcements. There is a Christmas decoration contest going on, and we are one of the sponsors of that, our Fortuna Sunrise Rotary Club. And so to spread holiday cheer here in the Fortuna, the Chamber of Commerce invites Fortuna residents and businesses to participate in the 2020 Holiday Dazzle decorating contest. You can win bragging rights as well as cash money. There is a submission form as well as a map of all the locations at fortunachamber.com/dazzle. And also seafood boil or whatever alternative fundraising we end up doing. Committee will be getting an email about scheduling a time to discuss what this unusual Rotary Years fundraising event will look like. And so far we have John, Ross, Scott, Chris, Sal, Carrie, Heather, and Don Winterholm as potential helpers. Is there anybody else that would like to join that list of distinguished Rotarians that's going to figure this thing out? Anybody else? You can throw up your hands. I don't know. Send me a message. Okay, let's keep on keeping on, shall we? Okay, this next little bit will be an interesting way. This is the first time we've done this virtually, but Seas Candy. So although we're not doing our in-person Seas Candy event this year, one thing we could all agree on is that we wanted to continue our giving to the Seas Community Fund. This is a fund that was created to assist local people in traveling expenses while they're battling cancer. Now, this fund normally gets 15% of our sales every year. And so this year we want to continue. How can we continue giving back, you ask? Well, we've got a solution. During this entire month of December, we'll call on our club to make donations to this fund, a virtual pass the hat. And that'll be billed with your dues at the end of the month or whenever our dues go out quarterly. So this virtual pass the hat, but in this case, it'll be a raise the hand. So each meeting you can contribute to the C's Candy Fund by raising your hand or private messaging during the moment of giving. Or you can throw up a reaction sign, however you want to indicate that you would like to give. But it gets better. For every dollar that you give to the C's Candy Fund, our Fortuna Sunrise Rotary Club will match your donation, making that dollar $2 or that $100 200 big ones. So get ready to feel the giving spirit during the month of December. So how this will work. I will call out 3 numbers this morning, okay? I'll do $5, $25, and $100. And if you can help out the C's Community Fundraiser this year, raise your hand and hold it up so we make sure that we mark you down here. Or you can throw up a reaction emoji, or you can use the chat feature. And I'll, Ross, just for sake of relaying the information, all the chats get transcribed, and I can just send you a list of those folks, okay?
Good, because I was scrambling with pen and pencil.
No worries. No worries, but we will have to catch all the people raising their hands, all right? So like I said, hold them up long, take a little bit for each one, and you can actually pledge to each amount. So if you wanted to go 5, 25, and 100, you could give $130 just this morning, which would make 260 bones. So let's do this. Should we do this? Should we do this? All right. Let everybody get ready for it. So like I said, reactions, hands up when I call out those numbers. And we're going to start this morning with $5. Who's in for $5? I see Kurt Wise. I see Frank Ramos. Who else? I see, Greg. I see Greg. And Heckwood. Thank you. Did I get everybody? I think I got everybody. Okay. Let's bump it up to the next level. How about $25 to the C's Community Fund? We've got Penny. We've got Kurt. We've got Sal. We've got Chris. We've got Rick, Frank, Aaron Dunn. Who else? Herb Colby on that. Oh, Keri Anderson and Bob Judavine there, all for $25. Oh, and Ross Raleigh. Nice. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Look at it lighting up here. Oh, Angela Johnson too. I see her hand raised. Am I missing anybody? Flag me down if I am. Oh, and George Shula. Dr. George, thank you, sir. All right. And we'll go to our last tier, $100. Do we have anybody that's down to give $100 to C's Community Fund? Wow, look at these hands. We've got Don Jewett, we've got Jeff, we've got Kurt, we've got Ken, we've got Frank, we've got Walt, Heckwood, Greg Bartle. You guys are outstanding. Look at this. Look at this. Did I miss anybody? Frank, yeah, I think we got it. I know that was quick, Ross. Thank you so much. And we're recording it, so we've got a transcript.
I'm glad that you're stating these names as you go along.
Yes, awesome. You guys.
Kind of like Romper Room. I see Ken, I see Don.
It's exactly like Romper Room. That was outstanding, everybody. That was a brilliant first start to our month of giving to the C's Community Fund. And cool, thank you. I'm seeing a couple of people in the chat there too. Thank you. Thank you so much, Heather. Awesome. Awesome. Possum. All right.
That looked to me like about, well, I would guess about 750 plus.
In one morning. So
yeah.
That's almost $1,500 we raised. Guys, this is, I don't know, Don, this is a lot easier than the C's Community. That month of work you do for.
That was much fun, though.
We may never go back.
Well, we love it. It's a fun community thing, and there's a lot of awareness. So when we can do it, we're going to do it. Darn it.
Hey, Simon, here's a question: do we write the check to? Hey, Bob Judavine, do we write the check to Fortuna Sunrise, or do we write it to American Cancer Society? Who?
Fortuna Sunrise, please. We'll take them all in, and then we'll write them one check.
Beautiful. Cool. And let's keep the show on the road, shall we? I'm going to screen share once again, and we'll get into the backpacks. So backpacks for kids, it's our partnership with Food for People that gives food to people that have food insecurities at home. And it's one of those programs where we pack up bags of food and it goes home to the families on the weekends. When maybe that kid, the best meals they get is high school or grammar school, high school lunch, or breakfast. So these are really cool things to keep that family having food. And today, this week, we have Shirley, Penny, and Sharon. I guess that would be today. And next week, December 9th, we have Buster and Lori Garrison, as well as Dawn and Sue Finch. So thank you so much. Okay. So each week we're featuring an artist, and because we were doing the Seas Candy fundraiser, it was the first week. I'm not doing such a formal deep dive into, thank you, Aaron, for that message. I will fire it up. We're not doing such a deep dive into an artist, but we are going to do a fun little game. So for a while we were doing Guess the Artist, and now we're on a theme of which piece sold for the most money at art auction, okay? And I think I'm gonna call on, is he still driving? Is Bob Judavine driving? Is he? Can you see your screen, Bob?
What?
I said, can you see the screen?
I can, yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. We're calling on you to play this fun game this morning, okay? So looking at brilliant art pieces from the anonymous street artist called Banksy, can you guess which one has fetched the highest price, the highest dollar amount in auction? Is it 1, 2, or 3? So number 1 is called Keep It Spotless. Number 2 is the Submerged Phone Booth. And number 3 is Show Me the Monet.
You know, I love those. I'm going to go with what's behind screen number 1 there, Simon, for 1,000.
Screen number 1, Keep It Spotless. That sold for 1.3 million pounds, but it is not the highest selling piece out of the 3. So good guess. That'd be a $5 fine. How about?
I thought he said 4,000.
Oh,
1,000 simoleons. That check's in the mail.
Okay, 1,000 simoleons. How about we call on, there's 2 left, so how about we call on Dr. Greg Bartow this morning? You got a 50-50 chance here, Greg. Is it 2 or 3? The Submerged Phone Booth or Show Me the Monet?
Well, I'm going to go with the Submerged Phone Booth because that probably cost a lot of money to create.
Yeah. And it just showed up in the streets, that piece, and then they collected it and sold it in an art auction. And that sold for actually 722,500 pounds, which is less than $1 million. So that is not the correct answer. After 3 weeks of you guys getting me every week, I stumped you this week. It was actually number 3, Show Me the Monet, which is a riff on a Monet painting, but you can see there's a, what do you call it? A shopping cart there in the water if you look closely. Okay, cool. Hey, well, thank you for playing. That's $5, Greg, sorry.
What did Show Me the Monet sell for?
It's a good question. 7.55 million pounds is what it sold for. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see here.
Wait a minute. If it's street art, was it street art? Was it?
Yeah, but so a lot of times his artwork is, the walls are taken down. They're actually cut off the wall. In some cases they'll stay and they'll put plexiglass over the top of them. The Show Me the Monet, he probably snuck into an art museum. So he's done these things where he's dressed up in disguise, gone into places like the Louvre and put his artwork up on the wall. And then it stayed there for an amount of time. I think the Louvre, it only lasted for about 20 minutes, but other places they've stayed up for like a day before anybody noticed. So anyway, he's definitely interesting character. We'll probably look at Banksy a little deeper in the future, but yes, anyway, we're moving on. Good question. Thank you. All right. So each week we're recognizing a Rotarian from our club. I'm drawing a little picture of them or illustration, and then we talk about how awesome they are, and maybe you'll learn something about that person as well as how much an asset they are to our club, because I think that we're all incredible individuals, and it's so awesome that we get together every week. So who's going to be recognized this week? Any guesses? Delaying. Suspense building. This week we have Rotarian Keri Anderson. Yeah, Keri, how are you doing? So I am gonna sum up Keri with 3 words this morning: family, farm, and accounting firm. There you go. Once again, the alliteration. So Keri is a mother of a family that loves to spend time together, whether it is extreme endurance obstacle courses or enjoying time at the lake on a boat. You and your family know how to have a good time. I think it's evident here. Mrs. Anderson, as well as her husband, live in Hydesville and raise their children, Wyatt, Waylon, and Tegan. And looks like they know the big guy in red, huh? Ho, ho, ho. Awesome. But that isn't the only thing that is growing there. From what I hear, they have quite a little farm. Yes, Keri has embraced the farming lifestyle where raising chickens, hogs, fruits, and vegetables. Your kids are involved in 4-H, and they know how to operate heavy farming equipment, it looks like, raise a show quality swine, and how to clean a goat with a shop vac. I'm so curious about this process here. You can tell I'm not a rancher, I'm an art teacher. But how fantastic is that? Keri Anderson on the farm, huh? And Keri Anderson, the accounting firm. So Keri's a partner and a local accounting firm, Wyatt, Whitchurch, and Anderson. So if you need a CPA, they're an excellent option. You may notice some exotic farm animals have made a pit stop by their business before getting the flock out of town. But if that wasn't enough, she and her husband are also on the board of directors for the Eel Valley Youth Soccer Winter Indoor League. That's a mouthful. So thank you, Keri, so much for being a member of our Fortuna Sunrise Club. We appreciate you. So everyone, let's celebrate our club's very own Keri Anderson. Woo! Keri.
Awesome. Thanks, Simon.
Oh, you're so very welcome. So, you know,
Mama.
that
I can hear you.
Keri, that stunning illustration has to be worth as much as maybe a jumbo inflatable toy for the kids to play with on the lake, right?
Oh, wow.
Maybe,
Sure.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe 20 bucks.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you so
What do you
much.
think, Teague? You don't know? Okay.
She doesn't know? What, more or less?
Less. She wants the toy.
She wants the toy. Ah, goodness. See what I did? See what I did?
Yeah.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Well, you're amazing, Keri. It's been really nice having you at just about every meeting since we went virtual. So you're an awesome asset to our club. And we
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And our weekly presentation, I'm going to pass it over to our program chair, Erin Dunn, to introduce this week's program. Erin.
Well, we are so lucky this morning. We have 2 visitors from Hawaii calling in at 5:20 their time. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the project that they're going to talk about and then tell you a little bit about them. They're talking about a proposed, it's called the 30-meter telescope in Hawaii, and it's become a symbol of protest movement alleging a wide range of legal, political, and social issues that afflict the Native Hawaiian community. And they are offering offer an evidence-based argument in favor of TMT from an indigenous point of view. So this morning we have Mr. Stone. So it's Sam King and Kimo Stone. And Mr. Stone is a Native Hawaiian attorney with 32 years of experience, whose practice focuses on the representation of real estate companies, trade associations, risk management, and political consulting. Regarding Hawaiian culture, Mr. Stone is an accomplished musician and hula practitioner, and which isn't the program, but maybe another time. Kimo, Yes, Kimo is, sorry, no, wait a minute. So it's Sam King and Kimo Stone. So Kimo is the first one I talked about. Sam is a native Hawaiian attorney born and raised in Oahu. Sam's family has deep roots in Hawaii, and he is descended from the chiefs of Maui and Oahu, defeated by Kamehameha. And I'm hoping I said that right. In addition to Sam's deep family roots, he is also developing deep professional roots in Hawaii. After working in DC, Iraq, and Afghanistan for a few years, Sam returned home to attend the University of Hawaii Law School. And most relevant to TMT, which is the Telescope Project, Sam is the executive director of, say it for me, please.
Imua.
Imua, TMT, a native Hawaii-led group advocating for the construction of TNT on Mauna Kea. I don't know if I said that right.
You got Mauna Kea.
Oh, thank you so much. I need to get
We're
to
here for
Hawaii
you.
more often. I think that's what
Anytime.
that all means. So
Just get your tests before you fly out here, so then you don't have to sit in a hotel for 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to hand it over, thankfully, finally. Thank you so much for being here, because they're on Hawaii time right now. Thank you.
No
Hello,
problem.
everyone. I'm Kimo. I'm, as Aaron mentioned, an attorney. And most of my focus is on real estate and business. However, I grew up on the Big Island, and that's where Mauna Kea is. And I remember a time when we were a plantation-based society. I'm 64 years old. And this was a time when it was obvious to then Governor Jack Burns and the Hilo business community that manual plantation-based labor was not going to be viable forever. And in an effort to diversify Hawaii's economy, which was based upon plantation and military spending at the time, they identified 2 areas that could be productive, and that was oceanography and astronomy. And the best places in the world for both are on the Big Island of Hawaii. I'm going to ask Sam to run a PowerPoint that I wrote for your meeting this morning. It's about 5 to 7 minutes, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have after that. Sam, could we run the PowerPoint, please? Our presentation this morning is called Mauna Kea Kupono. Kupono is the Hawaiian word for excellence, but it also means honesty. And this is, I take full responsibility for this. I'm an attorney, but I don't have a client in this particular controversy, this issue. This is purely my point of view as a private citizen. Next slide, please. Astronomy and Hawaiian culture. In Hawaii, from the very first Western contact, we had an observatory set up at the Hikio Heiau in Kealikikua. Captain Cook stumbled accidentally upon Hawaii. And where he landed was a place called Kealikikua on the Big Island. And there is a temple called Hikio. And he asked to set up his observatory, and the high priest for the temple insisted that the observatory be placed adjacent to the heiau, the temple. And just short of 100 years later, then King Kalakaua invited a British expedition to Hawaii to observe the transit of Venus, which is exactly what Captain Cook was doing 96 years before. And then 1970, as I mentioned earlier, our governor at the time built the first observatory, well, actually the access road and then the observatory in 1970. And then recently, the 30-meter telescope, which, if you know anything about astronomy, is really an extraordinary project. A 30-meter telescope allows you to reach back really to the edge of what we now know as the universe. It is a $2.4 billion project. And it's being proposed for Mauna Kea because that happens to be the best location on Earth for astronomy. The high elevation, the absolutely clear skies, undistorted by other sources of light or heat, make Mauna Kea the best location for astronomy. And it's even better than space-based telescopes because you can drive to it. If you need to get access to the telescope or service it or actually do the work of astronomy, having a land-based instrument like the 30-meter telescope is really the best thing you can do. Next slide, please. And my position is that the practice of astronomy is consistent with Hawaiian values. Currently, there's an enormous controversy in Hawaii between many in the Hawaiian community who are against the telescope for cultural and social reasons, and men like me who are supportive. And there are three values in particular. The first is kupono, which is the title of this presentation, which is excellence and honesty. And imina auau, which is to seek knowledge. And ka'ana, which is to share equally. The proposed project has will continue the current plan. There's a management plan that allows access to the mountain for cultural and ritual purposes, 24/7. The protests wish to eliminate any astronomy at all on the mountain. Next slide, please. And this is a legal controversy that has been resolved after 12 years of litigation. The Hawaii Supreme Court, and this is the site. Most of what you see in this panel is just the site to the case. Found that there are no further legal obstacles, that the project is fully authorized, fully permitted, as conformed with all the requirements to receive those approvals and permits. Next slide, please. But this is where we're at now. Currently, many in my community claim that the top of the mountain or the mountain itself is sacred. And that is an argument that is developed after the litigation, post-litigation. And it's used to eliminate debate. If you claim something is your church, then it is offensive for other people to use it in any way. And so it's frankly a clever strategy, having now lost all the legal battles. But to understand this claim, you have to understand what that means from a Hawaiian context. Traditionally, kapu, which is a system of prohibitions, governed every aspect of life, from the morning to the evening, everything large and small. You couldn't do anything, literally anything. Couldn't eat, couldn't build a house. Your relationships between people were determined by rules under this system called kapu. You know it in the West as tabu. That was a modification of our word, which is kapu. However, in 1819, our second Kamehameha, Liholiho, proclaimed ainoa, which means literally to eat freely. The fundamental prohibition was a prohibition against men and women eating together. So he took a meal with his mother and his aunt, and with that gesture, abolished all of the rules related to kapu. And his high priest then dismantled all the temples, and without any foreign intervention, Hawaiians eliminated that previous belief system. The modern claim of sacred regarding Mauna Kea has no support in the historic record. Its use is just meant to cut off debate. Next slide, please. The real issues we have are related to our loss of political control. The United States annexed Hawaii at the end of the 19th century. And that was as a result of a group of largely American businessmen who overthrew the kingdom of Hawaii. So with that loss of political control, like other indigenous people, Hawaiians have suffered more than any other group in terms of chronic health disease, housing insecurity, substandard education, and the highest rate of incarceration. Sometimes referred to in our community as the 100 years of tears. Next slide. If the protests succeed against the telescope, my community will be harmed. The loss of TMT means $1 million in STEM scholarships per year for the 50-year life of the project. The loss of hundreds of high-paying jobs at the site. $200,000 a year paid directly to OHA, which is the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And we lose a real rare opportunity, the opportunity to work with Nobel caliber physicists and scientists such as Andrea Ghez. She won this year's Nobel Prize in physics. And she studies on Mauna Kea at the Keck Observatory currently. And she says she's there because she wants to also be able to use the TMT 30-meter telescope. The bottom line is, if TMT fails, not a single Native Hawaiian will benefit. Next slide, please. COVID has changed everything. It has highlighted, at least in Hawaii, our overdependence upon resort development and high-capacity airlift. Oddly enough, tourism was initially promoted in Hawaii as a way to diversify the economy, like astronomy. We were based previously on plantation and military spending. It is, however, become something of a drug. We are addicted to the enormous contributions of tourism. It's 21% of our economy currently. The pandemic has reduced arrivals by 97%. The infection and mortality rates now in the mainland are hitting record highs. And it looks like it's going to be a cold, dark winter, a difficult spring. It may be a challenging summer. It might be into the third or fourth quarter before that changes. Currently, CARES funds are spent or allocated. Next slide. I was thinking of Rotary when I wrote this, and there are business responses to the COVID pandemic. Peter Ho, who is the CEO of the Bank of Hawaii, Hawaii's largest bank, his response is, we need liquidity, cash to help companies pay bills. Mark Mugiishi, who is the CEO of the Hawaii HMSA, which is our largest health care provider or insurer, his response is, we need effective, rapid, and accessible testing. Nathaniel Kinney, who is the head of the Construction Alliance, he advocates for streamlined permitting. For my part, TMT is the only fully approved, fully permitted, shovel-ready, $2.4 billion project currently available. Last slide, please. Mauna Kea kupono. Mauna Kea is excellence and honesty combined. When Europeans were afraid to sail beyond the sight of land, Native Hawaiians used the stars to navigate with confidence and purpose. My ancestors populated every inhabitable piece of land in the Pacific. As a Hawaiian, I draw a straight line between my traditional star-based navigation and today's Nobel caliber astronomy on Mauna Kea. Thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks, Sam.
Hey, Kimo, here's a question for you. How big is the opposition? How large is it?
It's significant in the Hawaiian community. In the general community, the last scientific poll results were 87% of Hawaii supports the development of TMT. In the Native community, a similar number was the case a year ago. However, in the past year, it is now probably a majority of the Native community against the project.
And I have a question. What is the timeline for this project once it's approved? Or what is the timeline for approval even, backing up a little bit?
It's a moving target, frankly. We are right now in a period of review called the decadal, which is a process in the scientific community to identify the top scientific project in the country. And TMT must now, since it's taken so long, it's been a 12-year process, right, for approval so far, must go through this to renew its funding. And in the past year, an additional $1 billion of costs have been added. And so they really, frankly, need more money. And so this decadal review takes a survey of all the large science projects. It is then used by all the large funding sources to determine who gets the money. And TMT has to now be one or two, probably number one in that survey for it to be viable going forward. In terms of time, I don't know. What do you think, Sam? It's such a moving target. I'm reluctant to give any numbers.
The EIS process and the cultural review process for the federal government, for the National Science Foundation, is probably another 2 years. But there's probably going to be big decisions made in the next 6 months, at least as far as the National Science Foundation has told me when I've talked to them. And there's a group now from the National Science Foundation, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, about you can contact these people and talk to them. And they're doing an informal reach out to try and see if the National Science Foundation wants to get involved. So they're talking to all the groups of people. And ironically, because of probably the efforts of my group, they've talked to more supporters than they have opponents, because I keep emailing everybody I know and telling them to email these people and talk to them. But that's the current outreach effort happening. And so probably in the next 6 months, the decadal will wrap up, and then you'll know if it's going to happen at all. And if it becomes number one, then it's another 1.5 years of environmental impact reviews.
There are already telescopes
13.
in Hawaii. Yeah. Why is this one so controversial then?
It's become a symbol of that, historic grievances. And because of the importance and the size of the project, it has gotten attention. I have had protesters approach me and apologize. In my culture, age is respected, and they would humbly apologize to me and say, "Uncle, I'm so sorry." But for the first time, someone's listening. And so the conflation of TMT with the historic grievances of loss of political control, chronic health, housing insecurity, bad education, etc., has given a level of attention and importance both to those issues and the leaders of the protest movement. To a certain extent, the protests have to continue to remain relevant in the conversation.
Who is the deciding body that will make a decision for or against the project? Is it a state-based body? Who is it?
It's a little bit like being the blindfolded pygmy trying to figure out what animal you're touching, depending on what end you're at. As a legal matter, the Hawaii Supreme Court has ruled that the project is fully approved, fully permitted, and has a legal right to proceed. What we currently have is a political question. The governor is reluctant to enforce the security necessary to get the trucks up the mountain. So if the protesters obstruct the road, arresting and handcuffing and incarcerating natives is a bad optic. Mm-hmm. Not only for the Gov. I mean, Gov has primary security responsibility, but also the TMT board is very reluctant to be seen as colonialists, oppressors of some sort. And so they're also reluctant to support any sort of confrontation. Now, to be honest, the TMT board itself is not unified in that regard. When we talk to there's a Chinese component, Japanese component, American component, Indian, and Canadian. There are essentially 5 different countries. This is such a big project. No one country can shoulder the burden. If I talk to the Canadians, they think confrontation is abhorrent. When we talk to the Chinese contingent, they can't understand what the problem is. So you have the whole wide range in terms of political sensitivities. So you have a governmental component, you have a TMT component, and then you have the political, social, and frankly, emotional aspects that are tied up into protests. The protests are at its base level, movement politics. Movement politics developed in the civil rights era were risking your body for voting rights or racial discrimination protests and that sort of thing was a powerful tool. A telescope, however, it doesn't seem to be the appropriate target for a movement type politics, but the result is compromise is not an option. In movement politics, the point is to win. Accommodation, compromise are anathema. How do you compromise on a civil right, right? How do you compromise on the right to vote, the right to exist? That approach has been appropriated in particular protests. And at full disclosure, I am a veteran of movement politics. That was me. If I were 20 years old, I'd be on the mountain. My daughter is part of the protest movement. She'll fly to the Big Island to protest. I objected to development in Waiahole Valley. The last kalo, the taro is our basic food, last place where you could raise a farm taro on our island. And we were successful. To this day, that valley produces food. We were against the destruction of senior housing in Chinatown. As a result, there are now 4 senior projects. Good result. Bombing of Koholave, I was part of all those protests. There's no longer the ecological catastrophe on that island. I am on the other side of this one. We historically and culturally were astronomers. We're naked eye astronomers, but we're astronomers. We didn't do anything. We didn't farm, we didn't fish without knowing from an astrological point of view, it was a good day to do it. So astronomy is entirely consistent with my culture. It's unfortunate that because it's so visible, it's been appropriated. And we have conflated social justice with a telescope.
Kimo, what is your strategy for disentangling these 2 ideas, the social movement and the TMT?
Kupono, honesty with regards to the issue and talking to the policy and decision makers, like I'm speaking to you. Every time we have spoken to either government officials or TMT officials with a presentation much like this, their response has been, "Whoa, Kimo, we didn't know." And so it seems to be, at least from a policy point of view, a matter of educating that there is no connection between the telescope and diabetes or heart disease or housing insecurity or educational issues, other than positive, because the project throws off $1 million a year just on scholarships for my people. All of those issues, whether it's chronic disease or housing insecurity or incarceration, are issues of poverty. This is a project that is a pure good in terms of the people it employs, the scholarships that it supports, and the work it does. It is heartbreaking, which is why I'm involved. It is heartbreaking as a native to see this issue being used, frankly, against our own interests. Maybe it's not new. Look at how many people act and vote against their own interests today. just on the national level. So Hawaii is no different in that regard.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kimo, Sam. That was excellent.
Can we give Sam about 30 seconds to make his pitch? I'd like to.
Please, Sam.
So I wanted to show you one last slide, and it's really just a slide to say, you know, if you're interested, this is what you can do to help. And so one of the big reasons we wanted to talk to you guys in particular is because you're in California, and the Caltech universities, Caltech and the University of California systems are very involved, and the protesters like targeting the University of California system in particular. They testify at the Board of Regents meetings during this early public forum session, and they contact the professors and they try to convince them that the TMT is settler colonialism and all these crazy social justice theories. And the astronomers buy it, by and large, because they have no idea what's going on culturally. So we would just love for you guys to forward our information and any, you know, any feeling you have, any, you know, description of this presentation to your fellow Rotarians, and let them know, you know, what this is, and say, you know, it's a great presentation. And then we'll talk to them too. Anybody, especially in Canada, especially in Japan, especially in India, especially in China. Those are the places we want to get to people and say, like, hey, you know, members of the community, this is a good thing. Let's not all be distracted by the noise coming out of social media. Like, the real truth is that this is a very solid good, not just for Hawaii, for the Native Hawaiians, but also for the United States of America. I mean, this project will keep the United States at the forefront of astronomy. Unlike physics, where we got rid of our particle accelerator, now the Europeans do all the particle physics. So if we want to stay at the forefront of astronomy, this is the project. That's one of the reasons the NSF is involved, which is why that's number 2 on the list of things you can do to help. This is actually easier to write down than you think. This is tinyurl.com/NSFNTMT. If you click that, it'll take you to a web page that explains how to contact the National Science Foundation. And you can email them and let them know what you think about the project. Yeah, Kimo.
Sam, Simon, is it okay if Sam forwards this slide to you?
Yeah, could you?
And if you
copy the text out of it and send it to me via email, and then I could share it with all of our club members via
right.
Absolutely.
And Sam, I'll be happy to have you send a copy of the PowerPoint to Simon as well. And if that information is helpful in any way, no pride of authorship, you can blame me entirely. But I think it's important that the message get out. If any of you find it of some use, that would be great.
Awesome. I'll definitely send this out to you. And so, just real quick, the third thing is we have a petition going around. Mailani Neal is a teenager, or she was a teenager when she started. She's a Native Hawaiian astronomer. She's
she's all grown up now.
Yeah, she's grown up. She's getting a PhD now, and she started a petition to support TMT when she was in high school. And one of the protesters, threatened to kill her. That was what her reward was. I mean, that's the nature of this protest. Those are the tactics they use, is death threats. So they threatened to kill me on an ancient Hawaiian human sacrificial altar that they use in the kapu system, which was really, I was like, thank you for that cultural connection. I appreciate that. You can email us.
Much like your ancestors, Sam.
Yeah, my ancestors got shoved off the new one, pulley. I was like, I feel connected to my grandparents. You can email us your name, and you can check out our website too, and you can email us and we can add you to our email list. You can write to a politician. You can write to the University of California system and just let them know that this is a very important project. You heard from us. You heard from Native Hawaiians. You can just say your Native Hawaiian friends support the project. That's all you need to say if anybody ever questions you. You can engage on social media about it respectfully. You can donate to our group, which frankly keeps our email list running because you got to pay for MailChimp. And then you can always, if you want to volunteer with us in any way, web support, social media support, anything, you just let me know. Email us, goes right to my phone, and we'll be in touch. So those are kind of the big ways, and there's other ways to help too. You always just email us and we'll hook you up. So I'll send this off, and really appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, Sam. Amazing. Cool. It was interesting. We were talking before the meeting started about a radio telescope in Puerto Rico that just collapsed, and it's interesting hearing the history of the island and kind of the state now. There's a lot of parallels, I think, between things that are going on there socially, economically, and what's going on in Hawaii. It's interesting to see. And my wife's half Puerto Rican, so it was
yeah. That's the
those connections there for sure.
We all saw that, and then there's a petition in Puerto Rico supporting the project. They wanted to keep the telescope there, and that's like 30,000 signatures. That's new to us. We got people like The Rock come out, and he thinks he knows something about Hawaiian culture, and he gets like 600,000 signatures against TMT. And meanwhile, we're over here like, are you going to pay us $3 million a year out of your salary, Mr. Johnson, after you've come out and destroyed this telescope opportunity for us? Because that would be great. And he has not responded to my request for $3 million a year, by the way. Has not responded. Amazing.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Before we leave, we're going to do our little raffle. It's usually the last thing we do, and you could win untold for. Oh, is there any questions? I see Penny.
No, it's just an announcement.
Oh, please. Announcement.
Yeah, this Saturday at the Safeway parking lot, we're having a coat giveaway, Hydesville Church. Free coats, socially distanced and all that. So if you know anyone who needs a coat, it's cold outside this Saturday, 10 to 2.
It is cold outside.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you very much, Penny. That's a great thing. Anybody else? Any announcements before we leave here and draw? All right. Untold fortunes, or what? 65 bucks? What are we at?
70.
70 big ones. Let's see who we got here. They're not here. Let's see. We're getting down to the bottom. Maybe I should refill the names in here. Name after name of. He's not here. Let's see. Dr. George Judula. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. What's it going to be, buddy? What are you going to win?
Oh.
Good shake here. Let's see. Oh, goodness. George, Craft Talk or $25 fine. What do you think? You want to go with the fine?
Well, 25 is going to be a better job.
Okay, okay.
I can't talk that well. That's a problem.
I know that's a rough ball for you, isn't it? $25 fine, Dr. George Judula. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else before we part today, Rotarians? All right.
So,
yes,
President Simon,
yes.
Our contributions for the Seas Candy Fund. Are we sending checks in right now? Are we sending a check in, or is
if you
Treasury...
want? So, good question. If you want to send a check in, I'm sure we'll take a check in anytime. You can write on the memo line, Seas Candy Fund. We'll also be doing that same kind of pass the hat the entire month of December. So if you want to let it accrue, if you're one of those people that's maybe going to make a couple of donations, then I would hold off on the check. And
okay.
So yeah, it's just personal preference, but yeah, make sure you put it in the memo line, okay?
Great, thank you.
So our treasurer knows, and secretary. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate you coming. Anything else before we part?
if you don't send a check, I will send you an invoice.
Okay, perfect. And thank
Even
you,
if I do send you a check, you'll send me an invoice, Bob.
One way or another, Don.
It's gonna get you.
Awesome.
All right, Sam.
I just want to give Bob a warning. Our program next week is the new CHP commander.
Okay.
So I'm just saying.
No video.
Just be careful.
Very nice.
Video next week, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Anything else? I appreciate everybody being so engaged this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Sam. Thank you, Kimo. Have a wonderful Rotary Day. This club meeting's adjourned.